I'm Chris Blancato, and I'm the engineer for Northlane's album Alien. For Alien, the band approached the production wanting to have a little bit more of a hands-on approach than previous albums that they had done. They had a very particular sound in mind. They had a really strong creative vision. So my role was basically to facilitate that vision and dial in sounds with them, especially on a technical aspect, to help them achieve that sound. The creative process working on Alien started with a demo of each song, and the demo would have a bit of like a rough sonic direction of, a general vibe of how they wanted things to sound. And from there, it was a lot about refining the tones and, refining each instrument to kind of develop the cohesive sound of the album. At that time, the band was working in kind of like a new territory, and they had started adding some newer aspects to the arrangement, such as electronics and, synth stuff. And quite early on, we realized that we needed to create guitar sounds that would fill out the remaining space and not really interfere with this really dense arrangement that was forming. So a really important part about that process was finding a balance between really great guitar sounds, but guitar sounds which would also work really well in a mix. People can expect to find a pretty comprehensive collection of guitar tones that are found on Alien. Every guitar sound from every song has been captured and put into the pack. For most of the songs on the album, we would actually switch main rhythm guitar tones between sections of the song. So when another part of the arrangement would change and we kind of had to keep the guitars flexible to work around that, we would switch out entire rigs just for that part. On top of that, when we were changing these main guitar sounds, the complementary guitar sounds which would be stacked on top of that were also changing. So there's a lot of stuff which is being captured here. To achieve that, we had to use lots of different gear, multiple different pedals, different amps, different cabs, speakers within the cabs. We have different microphones and combinations and positions, as well as different mic preamps, and every part of this signal chain has been captured and put into the presets. I think something that people will find as well is that there's a lot of really interesting and kind of more obscure sounds. A lot of stuff that you probably haven't heard before. On the flip side of that though, there's also a really good amount of staple, great sounding tones which are really flexible and versatile, and I think people will get a lot of use out of that for multiple different genres and styles. Something which is quite unique about Northlane's guitar sounds and tones which kind of quite distinct to them is their approach is a little different to a lot of other players and artists playing similar types of music. I think a lot of other guitarists naturally gravitate towards quite bright and aggressive tones. And I suppose the purpose of this is to, really try and cut through that mix. But guitars kind of play a slightly different role in Northlane. So the objective is to be a little bit more balanced, quite full sounding, a lot of thick but really tight low end, very full and very saturated, and not overly bright. And I think that really works for their style and sound. It's amazing to hear how these presets sound when comparing them to the original album tones that we came up with in the recording sessions, because everything you'll find in the preset pack is exactly what you hear on the album. One thing though I really like about the presets is how great they felt to play through. For some of the tones on the album, we had to use some pretty unconventional methods to get the sounds that we wanted. And I remember having to do a lot of work processing and manipulating those sounds to get them to feel right. The presets just kind of have a feel which is a lot faster and a more immediate feeling. And it takes out a lot of that work, and I just think they're a lot of fun and really enjoyable sounds to play through. I think people are really going to like this pack because of the variety it offers. There's a really wide range of different guitar tone characteristics. While it does focus heavily on high gain guitar sounds, like the types of things that you hear on the album, I think there's a lot of scope within that to have a lot of different options. These sounds are very relevant to the type of music that people are making at the moment, and I think it's going to be a great tool for people to be able to use in their own music. It's also a great way for people to get a bit of an inside look to the nuts and bolts that we use to kind of create the album. It's basically a full deconstruction of all the guitar layers that you hear, and for anybody who loves, Alien, I think they're going to find that really interesting.